Tenet. So I've just got back from one of the first advanced screenings of this movie by Christopher Nolan, and it's Saturday here in Australia, and I was lucky enough to watch one of the first screenings in the world, basically, and with social distancing, of course, so all good there. And this is kind of like not a full review. This is kind of like my stream of conscious, first impressions. So as you can see, it's kind of like a bare bones kind of chat about my kind of first thoughts right after watching the movie. You can see the sun starting to go down here in Sydney. Basically, the movie was a trip. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's just a trip. It's a thrill ride, and it's a really trippy film. So if you thought Inception was kind of out there and you needed multiple viewings, or even if you thought Memento, wow, that's so complex, so visionary and so kind of experimental in a lot of ways, well, Tenet just takes it up like a notch times 10, if you like. So most of you that are watching this, you've probably seen the trailers leading up to the movie, especially if you're a Christopher Nolan fan like I am. So you do see some aspects of it. You already kind of know through the trailers, you already kind of know that you're going into a movie where the main theme, one of the major themes, is time. And Nolan loves playing with time. He did it in Dunkirk. He's done it with pretty much all of his films. Manipulation of time, all the way from Memento, all the way through to Tenet. But with Tenet, this temporal aspect is such a big thing. It's such a big part of the movie, and it's so critical to the plot points and basically the stakes of the film. And again, this is spoiler free, so it's not going to have anything that you wouldn't have seen in the trailer. I might do another review later on that goes more in depth into the film. That's not still without spoilers, but this is again first impressions. So first set piece, this first sequence is awesome. It's intense, same way he did with Dunkirk. The sound design, basically, again, from the trailers, you probably can guess there's a lot of bullets flying. So just you're straight away immersed into the film. He did that in Dunkirk. He did that in The Dark Knight. That aspect of immersing the filmmaker. Not just us filmmakers, but that aspect of immersing the audience is something I think Nolan does better than any other filmmaker today. He really draws you in. Basically, you see the Warner Brothers logo, you see the Syncopy logo, and bang, you're straight into it. And it's this operatic kind of opener, if you like, that really gets you into the world. The music, Ludwig Göransson, he did Black Panther, he did The Mandalorian, composed that movie and that series. The music is freaking awesome. I'm a huge Hans Zimmer fan, but I really loved the intensity. And Ludwig Göransson, the composer, he does borrow a lot from The Dark Knight. He borrows a lot from Inception. He borrows a lot from, Dunkirk. Like, just when you watch it, you'll get that. But it's just, I love it. The sound design's awesome. Now, something that some people might notice is some of the dialogue is a bit tricky to understand. We noticed that with Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. Some of the dialogue isn't super clear. I don't know if it was just the VMAX screening that I went to. I mean, the music and the bass was incredible, but some of the speeches, you really had to tune in and kind of concentrate. And I wonder if that was deliberate. I would be very unsurprised if that was the case, because Christopher Nolan knows what he's doing, and so does his sound design team. So I think that's good because of the aspect where you've got that temporal nature where time is shifting. You're not sure if things are going front to back or back to front, if things are happening as they are or if they've been. You've seen that in the trailers again, that aspect of it. It's a confusing world that he's created, and I believe it's deliberate. You might see reviews that say this is clinical, this is a little bit cold, this is a little bit too heady. To me, it wasn't heady. It wasn't heady beyond being compelling. It's still a compelling thrill ride, and you're on for the journey. And the protagonist, John, played by John David Washington, is a great character, because you're on basically you're seeing the journey from his point of view. He's got a very special set of skills, similar to, you know, Cobb did in Inception, Leo DiCaprio's character. Yeah, sorry, we're still live here. All good, all good. Yeah, John David Washington's character is awesome. His acting is awesome. He's really kind of nuanced and subtle in his performances throughout the film. The supporting cast is excellent. Kenneth Branagh plays a really, really kind of intense character that you're gonna love. And the thing I love about the film is its suspense, its thrill ride. You're trying to figure out what's happening constantly. And because you're trying to figure out what's happening constantly, you're actually, you know, going through the similar thought processes that the hero is going through. John David Washington's character is going through. So it reminded me actually a lot of Inception in many ways, but then there were aspects that actually reminded me, especially in the third act towards the end of the film, of Dunkirk, surprisingly. And that's all I'm going to say. Okay? You'll know once you see it. And, or of course, Memento with the time-shifting aspect. Definitely reminded me of that. But a little kind of, if you like, tidbit that doesn't spoil it in any way. But another reference that I found it reminded me of was Dark, which is the German Netflix series. If you've watched Dark, that's all I'll say. If you haven't watched it, you don't have to watch it before. Obviously, you don't have to watch it before you watch Tenet, because they're separate kind of universes and worlds, but had a lot of elements of Dark. And having said that, Tenet is actually a freaking dark film. It has glimmers of humor, glimmers of hope, of course, as with all of Nolan's films. Robert Pattinson's character plays kind of a charming mentor slash ally to John David Washington's character, this British guy who is kind of there along for the ride with him, and similar to the character that Tom Hardy played in Inception, he kind of has that kind of laconic British humour, which is cool too. Of course, great performances by all the cast, and just really, I have to say, the casting is really great in this film too. And there were actually elements of this film that you'll watch and say, "Oh, that's Nolan. Yep, that's Nolan. Of course, it's his film." But there's scenes that I looked at as I was watching. I'm like, wow, that kind of car chase scene has a lot of influences and kind of inspiration taken from not only The Matrix Reloaded, which some reviewers may have noticed, but also straight out of The Dark Knight Rises. The theme of escalation, things just constantly getting worse and worse. But I think out of all of Nolan's films, this one seems to be the highest stakes. In the trailer they say there's a line that says, "Is it World War III?" And the other character says, "No, it's worse." And it is pretty intense. It's up there in terms of the stakes and the universal nature of what the hero is trying to overcome and solve, the problems that he's trying to solve and prevent, if you like, from happening without giving anything away there. Similar to in Interstellar in the worldly aspect of it, which I'm sure you would have seen out of the trailer. What more is there to say? I would say watch it. Don't go into it thinking... Definitely watch it, obviously. Don't go into it thinking you're going to walk out with answers, because I don't think that's the kind of film this is. It's definitely a film that you need repeat viewings to fully grasp. And even then, there's still going to be questions. Like, even Inception, right? Inception is an awesome film. You watch. But at the end of the day, there aren't 100% definitive answers, especially with the spinning top at the end. There's theories, but it's all about perspective. And that's one of the big things with this film. There's several points in the film where you're like, what am I watching? Which perspective, which direction of time am I watching? What's happening? Is it what I think is happening, or has it already happened, or is it going to happen? And this is kind of like an infinity of questioning, but you are taken along for the ride, and that's why, again, it's like a trip, because you don't exactly know what's going to happen. You don't know what's happening for a lot of it, and I can understand for a lot of viewers and audience that could be a frustrating aspect of a film. But to me, as I said earlier, I think it's by design, and that's part and parcel of what the whole concept of Tenet is, and it is really a high concept sci-fi thriller action trip. I guess that's the best way of summarizing it. And in terms of, is there a lot of action or is it predominantly drama? There's a bucket load of action. There's just so much action in this. The choreography, I noticed one thing with this is the fight choreography, and when I say fight choreography, I mean the hand-to-hand combat was uniquely not only available to view and easy to follow, which has been something that some people say about Nolan's other films, especially the Dark Knight trilogy. There's been scenes where you couldn't see all of the action. In this, the hand-to-hand combat is brilliant. It's up there with, John Wick, Jason Bourne series, and of course the Bond series of movies. So that you're going to love. Then, of course, the big action set pieces. Of course, I mean, Nolan is known and is a master at this from all the way, from the Dark Knight trilogy to Dunkirk, where I think with Dunkirk, he really tuned in on how to film fight/battle sequences. Obviously, Dunkirk was a war suspense film. So definitely go see it. I think the best way to go in there is going with an open mind. There are the scenes in there that were cool that I almost wish I hadn't seen any of the trailers before I went in there. So that's one thing. And as you can see, we're running out of time. The sun's going down here in Australia. But yeah, they were my first impressions. I mean, sorry if I rambled a bit, but as you can see, I love the movie. I'm pretty pumped. And you should go check out Tenet. If you find you walk away and you're like, well, I don't know, I kind of don't know what the hell just happened, I think that's the point. I think when you're playing with the kind of chessboard that Nolan creates in this movie, you're not going to see everything coming, especially the first, I would say, 5 times of watching this movie. It is a complex film. It is visionary. It is original. And it's a trip. So check it out. That was my Tenet first impressions. If you like this video, I know I did it in the car straight after watching the movie. The usual like, subscribe, comment, and maybe I'll come back and sit down after I've kind of thought about the film a bit more and have a full-on review from my point of view, obviously, where I'll, again, without spoilers, because it's just come out, literally just come out. We're one of the first countries here in Australia to be able to be lucky enough to watch Tenet, especially during this time. It's a huge film to be back in to be able to see at the cinemas. So check it out. I loved it. Nolan, you're a legend as always. Hope to one day work with you. But yeah, no, that was awesome. So hope you liked it, and maybe I'll see you next time. Cheers.